So shifting gears a bit, I want to talk about Showrunner, which I believe you said you had not heard of before. This is something I learned
No,
about
no, no. I've heard of
only
it.
a
I
few
just
days
don't
ago.
really know the ins and outs of it.
Okay. So it's a startup company where basically it's an AI platform where you can create your own animated shows. You give it a prompt, you wait a few minutes, and it has given you your own show. It can
Hmm.
emulate existing shows, or you can create your own show from scratch. And it is still in a early beta stage, but it's already been used in several places by people for more than just a testing purpose. The idea is that if you want something, you can just create it and watch yourself. You can be your own broadcast system. So if I'm a big South Park fan and I would like to see myself show up in South Park and interact with all the characters, and we're going to go on a wacky adventure where we head off to the moon, I can put all these prompts in there and it will make me an episode that looks like South Park using South Park characters and putting me as a South Park character in there and give me all that.
Mm,
Now, there are
okay.
obviously the very easy arguments and problems with the fact that you are now taking other people's work. But there's a bigger problem that I see, which is why does anybody care? Outside of the person that's creating it, nobody wants to see that episode. Who wants to watch? It's like when you tell
Uh,
people you have a dream. I had a dream last night where I was running in bubblegum. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your dream. It's not a shared experience. So we're gonna make your own episodes of stuff because you're like, you know what, I think the Game of Thrones episode should have gone this way. Let me make that. And you watch it yourself, you're like, that was great. I really like the way that I wrote Game of Thrones. Then you tell
uh-huh.
somebody else about it, they're like, I don't care. Whatever you did is fine. I think it's
Well,
a really interesting novel idea,
the
but long term, it is really problematic for just watering down everything within any kind of pop culture medium.
I mean, I agree with that last point that you made, but it sounds like the appeal to showrunner is that I can subscribe and I can make episodes of stuff that I want to see. If
Sure.
that means that I'm in it,
But
then cool. But like, I don't think the
why
idea
does that
is that I make a thing that is for other people. It's a platform made for me so that I can make the stuff that I want, which is
so let's
an interesting
let's say
idea.
your favorite show is we've talked a lot about Stranger Things lately, so I'll just say Stranger Things. Let's say Stranger Things,
My favorite
you
show
like
is,
the
in fact,
finale.
Stranger Things, guys. Everything that you've heard in previous episodes is factually false. I love Stranger Things. Can you tell from my face?
It's a great face. Um, So let's say you wanted a different outcome from Stranger Things. You wanted Mike to die because that was like you were on the Mike
I did
needs to
want
die
that's
bandwagon.
gonna be that's gonna come back in every episode now, I feel. I did indeed
When we
want Mike to die.
when we make t-shirts one day it'll be Mike should have died. Anyway, so you thought Mike should have died in the finale. So you make this episode for Mike to, do you feel vindicated then? Because you know it didn't happen. The real show, the canon, he's still alive. So what does
I don't
that
know.
matter? You got to witness it, but it doesn't
I feel like
to
there's
me
some
like that
sort of
doesn't.
vindictive pleasure about it. I'm not that type of person, but I know people like that. There's some sort of vindication that can happen in that scenario. I also know, and we talked about this in our Stranger Things episode, but I'm seeing a lot of people were not happy with the finale. And
Sure.
apparently in the episode, this is a slight tangent, but apparently in the documentary that came out, the Duffer Brothers came out and said that they had no idea where the finale was going. Apparently they were filming and the script
That's what
wasn't
I've
done.
heard.
So I feel like something like this could provide the closure that people were looking for in the finale. Now, does that
But
make it canon? I don't think so, but it might
so
make you
what does it
feel
matter if it's
better.
not?
I don't know.
I mean, people write fan fiction to Star Wars all the time, and it has its market. And I'm not saying that there aren't anybody that would enjoy remaking an episode in their own personal way. But as a whole, is that really? I think there's a novelty to it, but after that, after that, it's like, all right, did you see Bill's version of the end of Stranger Things? Man,
It's
he had Homer Simpson show up. Like, good
It
for
is
Bill's
it
version.
is a
Like, to me, that doesn't make any
novelty.
difference.
It is a novelty, but it strangely is a novelty that will never not be like an interesting or fun novelty because there will always be new shows. You will almost assuredly be disappointed by the ending of a future show, and you'll be able to fix it with showrunner. Like I'm not sure I really
You're
understand
not
what your point is because
because you're
like
not
yes,
really
it's not
fixing it.
canon.
You're not really fixing it.
It's
It's
fan
what
fiction
happened
like any other
happened.
fan fiction.
Okay. So, I would have more understanding if you could then take that and then run with it to produce your own version of something like, what was that, I think Twilight originally started off as fan fiction for a different property, and then it turned it like, something like that. Okay, you could take your own thing and turn it into your own entity after that, but just to make your own personal something or other, I think that would be a fun idea at a party, but I don't think that's long-term interesting. I wanna know how the story ends, whether it's good or bad, like, if I'm following a show, I'm following the show. When I'm rewriting it as I want to, it's fun to theorize about it or say, like, I would have done it, whatever. And I like talking with
Yeah.
people like that. But if I make that, it's interesting to me. The one time I watch it, what am I gonna do? Watch it again? Remember that one episode I made where it wasn't actually what happened, but had me in it. So I guess I'll watch that
So
on loop. That
I
seems
mean,
crazy to
like,
me.
I think that we're sort of walking along the edge of fan fiction territory and like why people like fan fiction. And I've never written fan fiction. I've never even really read fan fiction. I am not a fan fiction fan. However, there is a huge community of people who get into fan fiction, more specifically to whatever property or IP it is that they are interested in. There's probably tons of Stranger Things fan fiction. To your point, there's
Sure.
tons of Twilight fan fiction, Harry Potter, whatever, take your pick, Star Wars. And my understanding of fan fiction is if I write it, I am writing it for myself in the same way that if I create something as a creator, like as an actor and a writer, if I write a story, I'm writing that for me. Like, yes, I eventually have dreams of sharing that with an audience, and that's the same drive that people who write fan fiction have. They write it for themselves so that they can write the story that they see in their head, and then they share it with their
But
community of
even
fan
that,
fiction
though,
fans.
even that, in a traditional fan fiction situation, you have somebody that is putting the time, effort, and work ethic in to create this alternative narrative. There's
Mhm.
hours, days, months, years of work that go into that, and you can walk away from that and think like, "You know what? That's not canon, but I can appreciate all the effort that was put into this." It's a fun thing to think about, and it's limited to what you can see, to the people that are willing to put that work in. When you're talking about an app where you just put in a prompt and it spits it out 2 minutes later, we are going to be flooded with alternate versions of everything, and I think it
Yeah.
dilutes how interesting it is. If every single person you knew had a Stranger Things finale alternative episode for you to watch, how many of those do you want to get through before you're like, all right, I get it. We wanted something else. Or
I mean,
you
like,
watch a couple and you're
it
like, I'm
will.
done. I don't need to keep doing this.
I think it makes fan fiction more accessible, and I put that in quotes very loosely because there is an argument that is being made online that I see quite often about how AI makes art accessible to people who are not good at art. And the counter to that is always, so get good at art. And there'll be like people who stitch these videos with like armless violinists and
Mhm.
blind painters and deaf musicians. Like whatever your obstacle is, you can become good at a thing. And so that's why I put it loosely in quotes because it will make it like more accessible, quote unquote, to people, meaning
But
anyone can hop on it
that's
and
why
type
it's
in a
art, is
prompt.
because somebody had to put the work into it to be good
Yeah,
at it.
you and I get that. But obviously there are people on the other side of the argument because there are people
I
who
just
make the
yes.
argument that AI makes art accessible to them.
But the bell that
So,
I'm trying to ring now is that people don't realize when they're on that side of the argument, that
Yeah.
once they get this thing that they don't think is a big deal, like, oh, who cares? And everybody can make it. It makes it more accessible. But once you see what that means and how now nothing has value anymore, nothing is special, anybody can make anything, then what's the point of any of it? It does
Yeah.
not matter anymore because I can make the same thing that anybody else can. So my thing is not special. That's not
I
art
mean,
anymore. Now it's
you're
just
poking
whatever else.
you're poking at the philosophical question of what is art, which that we can
I'm poking at the
discuss, but
reality of what art
that is a
is.
whole separate
Even
episode.
if you want to even if you want to exclude the word art from that, supply and demand, right? When you have a lot of something, the demand of something goes down. It is basic economics. So when you apply that to any sort of media, the
Well,
more you have it,
that's
look
actually
it's I'll point
that's
again to
actually
Star
not
Wars because
that's not
Star
100%.
Wars
Wait, that's not true though. Like
what's not true?
if you have a lot of supply of something, that doesn't mean the demand goes down. It just means that you
The
may have an
value goes down.
overabundance. The value goes
Yes.
down. But the reason that I bring that up very specifically is because I don't think that by flooding the supply, the demand is going to go down. I actually think you're going to see a rise in demand. People are going to
The
want it
value will go
more.
down. When the value goes down,
Sure, the
then the
value
demand
will
starts
go
to go
down,
with it.
but
The, it
I think people are still going to want it. That's why people are so heavily invested in
look,
AI.
I'll point again to the Star Wars thing. I'll point to Marvel. These are both franchises that were highest of highs for a while. Disney decided that they were going to make as much content as possible, started pumping out show after show after show after show, throwing any kind of movie in there. And people are like, I don't like this. This isn't what I signed up for these for. And those are still
Mhm.
professional writers. So you think that somebody who's just typing in a couple sentences into a thing are going to do a better job? You might get the diamonds in the rough where somebody has a really great idea, is going to throw a couple extra prompts in there, and maybe it's a novel presentation of something. But as a whole, the quality is going to dip so much because it's just everywhere. And that just dilutes everything across the board. And it's not
Yeah.
all these people that are saying, hey, I get to be an artist too. One, you don't. You get to be at best an art director because you're not creating the thing. You're just giving the guidance to something that's doing it, which
Sure.
if you were to go watch a movie and you see on there somebody that says, the artist, that's the person that made it. There's no art director that, yeah, had to review what they did, say, hey, fix that there, do that there, add this, take away that. But the artist is still credited as the artist. The person who gave the direction is not credited as the artist. So I'm sorry, no AI artist exists. At best, you're an AI art director.
Jason's coming out at everybody in the
I'm coming
comments.
at everybody. But I'm not wrong though. I would happily admit if I think that there's room for, but that's true. The artist is the person who paints the thing.
Get in the
You don't
comments,
credit.
guys. Get in the comments. Come after Jason. Let us know what you think. Do you think let us know where you fall. Are you in the camp of creatives that believe that this is truly detrimental? Well, I guess let us know if you're in the extremist camp with Morgan and think that AI is just detrimental across the board, or if you fall somewhere in the middle. I'd be curious
Look,
to know where everybody.
I do not think that AI as an entire broad stroke is a bad thing. I think there are plenty of good
Wow.
uses for AI. I think that AI in the form of organization, summary, trying to, there's lots of things that you can help streamline processes for with AI. Fine. When it starts getting into generative AI, where it's one, robbing other people's work because it has to pull from their experiences, which they did not give permission for, that's a problem. And two, when it gives us the platform to just create low quality anything, that's bad too. It's bad for all of us. I mean, we're talking putting actual writers out of business. So now the stuff that we have to compare to,
Yeah.
that's gone. We're talking about putting actual actors out of business, the people that we give awards to because we think that it's so great how they drew from other people's experiences and research and all their time and dedication to the craft to give us an emotion as we watch them. Gone. I mean, why do we care if a machine does it? The whole value is the fact that a person had to get so good at something that they did this. That's awesome. So I don't like where this trend is going. But
I
if we
think
want to try
that
to solve it, because I did promise we were going to try to solve it, I'm going to
I don't
propose a
know.
solution.
I feel like we that ship has sailed because you're standing up in front of all these people and you're like, "We need to fix the problem," but you're also like, "But there are good uses to it, but we need to fix the
Because I think that AI is two different forms. You have regular AI and you have generative AI, and a generative AI is the problem. Traditional AI is not. Like, I don't care that
I don't
my
know.
video game can use AI in order to to make my enemies smarter when I'm playing Call of Duty. Like, that doesn't bother me. I don't like that PlayStation is trying to add an AI to the console to make it play the game for you. Like, what in the world is that? You spend
I think you're
$600 on a
drawing
PS6 and then all of a sudden it's going to play for you because it got hard? Like, why is that helping us? That's not helping
Yeah,
us.
my opinion is that you're drawing arbitrary lines and there isn't a rule that you can apply that would allow us to know what is good AI and what is bad AI. So that's why I think, and because everybody has such differing opinions, you're never
Disagree.
going to land on a rule that will be this is good and that is bad, which is why it's
First of
all
all,
bad.
I find it hilarious that you are the AI extremist, and I feel like you've spent more time defending AI than I have in this episode.
I have to have a
But
balanced opinion, Jason.
I, I'm floored. But I do think that there is a line that you can draw, and here's what I propose. The line I think that we can draw now is when AI is using other people's work. And that's not an original idea, but I do think that we need to take a hard line in the sand to say, if you're using somebody else's work, it should be from a database that has gotten a licensed bulk of that work to pull from. So when you look at streaming services like a Netflix or an Amazon or an HBO Max, whatever, you have content that's on there. All that's been licensed from other places or created in house. AI models should do the same thing. They should have their bank of information to pull from. Anything that's in that bank is getting licensed from the original source. And what that deal looks like, they can work out with them, whether that's in perpetuity or for an X amount of time. Netflix rotates movies in and out because sometimes they have access to it and sometimes they don't. AI systems should be the same way. Their models should be based off of a bank that they've gotten permission to use, whether those are images, text, whatever. That helps solve that problem. The creators get paid for it, and now you can at least say, if we're doing this, we're not stealing stuff from people. So my call to action for anybody who feels as passionate about this as I do is make yourself heard. Start talking about it places about how we should take action like that. Write your senator. And I know that's a stupid thing that people say because nobody actually does it, but it is something. If we write to our
I do.
Congress, write to
Hey,
our senators, tell them
I
that
write
we
my
want
senator.
something
What are you talking? I write my
good.
representatives. I write my
Good.
representatives all the time. That's how you affect change. This
This
is a
is the
whole
time
separate
to
thing.
do it. We are on the cusp. Like, this is now, like,
Yeah,
before, because if we don't do it now, AI is going to get into place and then it's going to be harder to walk it back. It's going to be too big to stop.
it's
We have to
already. The
do it
thing
now.
is, I think we're already past the point of no return. So,
You know what?
I still think that you should do what you can, but I think we've already screwed ourselves. Like, this is the
You know
world
what the
now. Good
you know
job,
what the
guys.
funny part is? So Chat GPT, I don't know if you know this, but Chat GPT was an accident. At least as we know right now, it's an accident.
Define.
OpenAI created ChatGPT as like a proof of concept because they were going to apply it to different things for like just for recovering searches and that sort of thing. And when they showed it to people at tech demos, everyone's like,
Mhm.
this is awesome. And they're like, I guess we're a company that does this now because people really like the fact that you can throw anything at ChatGPT and it can spit it back at you and have a conversation.
Mhm.
And the fact of the matter is that it grew so fast, so much that it is unprofitable for them to sustain right now. So while they need people to keep using it, it's costing them every time somebody uses it. Like, they are underwater until like, and it could fail. And the way it could fail, imagine if everybody coordinated a day where everyone's just going to use ChatGPT like crazy at the same time. it would be catastrophic for them to have to figure out how to process all those inquiries simultaneously. That's
And
wild to me. That's wild to me that they're in an underwater model that costs more to run than it does to serve the content, and
I
using
haven't
it could be
I
its own
haven't
downfall.
I mean, like, it could be. I actually, this is something that I've briefly looked into and I don't know the numbers of, but I actually haven't heard a whole lot of supporting argument that this is a losing proposition for these tech companies because if it if the numbers really didn't add up in that way, then the very logical question of why do they continue to funnel billions of dollars into it comes up. And there's no way to square that because if they really were at such a loss, then the correct business move would be to stop investing at least. So
Uh,
I don't know
so
how you square that.
so right now, and this is this is a little bit of a departure from our conversation, but a lot of people associate ChatGPT with like a search engine, like they compare it to Google because they're saying, hey, you can ask it questions, it gives you information. But it's actually more and more like a social media company than it is a search engine. Google wants you to get on and get off. And it even, I mean, even when you search stuff, it tells you this gave you a result back in 0.4 seconds or whatever it is, because that's the whole thing. They take what you search for, they sell ads on it, and that's where they make money. With ChatGPT, they are learning about the user and they're learning about the interaction. So they are trying to keep you on the platform as long as possible and hoping that the conversations you have give them demographic information that they can then sell off in different ways. So their model is yes, we want you on here, but it is not cost effective, but they are selling the data elsewhere and hoping that eventually it turns around. So they are trying to offset that underwater bridge by owning more of the process. So they are building like a browser. I don't know if that's out yet, but they're building a browser. This way it keeps you in your stuff. So while you're using the internet, they could pull that data without you having to run the costly actual chat GPT interaction. They are likely going to go into other devices at some point because they're trying to put that wherever they want they can to pull the data that they need to then turn into money down the road. But everybody
It's
is on this
crazy.
AI kick right now. Where everybody's so like companies and executives are all so excited about it that if you don't have it, you feel like you're behind. So everyone is paying just to keep them afloat. So this way they have
Yeah.
access to the large language models.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy how much people don't care about their privacy. And these are the same people who whine about, like, being in somebody's video in public. So it's just crazy. They, like, if you really cared, then you would get off these technologies because you're right. They're taking your information and they're selling it. And I don't use ChatGPT, so I don't know, but I imagine when you go to the website, you have to agree to terms and conditions and a privacy policy. So it's not really like they're hoodwinking you because if you're just clicking a
No.
box in order to use it, then you don't really care about your privacy. So
And it keeps tabs on all the things you asked too. Like it wants to know like trends in what you do from interaction to interaction. So it's interesting. But if you don't like it pulling from stuff, I do think this is one of those things that you need to write Congress now because this is going to be something that comes up for legislation relatively soon. And if
yeah.
people know that the general public is not happy about certain aspects of this, that's a great time for them to put in framework like, look, you have to define boundaries of where you get this information from, and the information you're pulling from needs to be licensed in order to give people their appropriate compensation. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. We've definitely been all over the map. We tried to keep it specific to film and TV because that's our area of expertise, but this is
Yeah.
definitely permeating all of life. And I'll be honest with you, wake me up when the robots are doing my laundry so that I have more time to do my poetry instead of the
Have
robots doing my poetry.
have you
That's
Have
like
you
where
seen the
I'm at.
videos of that robot? I forget who made somebody made some kind of robot that's supposed to do those things, but it's like always failing. And people
Yeah.
post videos
They
of it
can't,
like
yeah, it
falling
can't like
over,
load the dishwasher or sweep
just
the
slams into.
patio. Like it
It's
can't do
fantastic.
any of that crap.
Uh